down there.
I mean, where are we going with all this anyway?
I don't know. Habit.
Week in, week out. Easier to keep going than stop.
Yeah.
Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John, and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello, everybody.
Watcher.
Yeah. Another cheerful moment of retrospection just before we start recording.
I'm
dropping it in
I'm
just
totally
there.
fine.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Everything is fine. How are you?
Yeah. And for the record, I am wearing brown, so it's not all grey.
Right, yes. I was just worried about the sort of... It looks, because we got a little screen we can see us attached to the side of the camera, and in that screen it looks like everything's been run through a desaturation filter. Everything's rather grey. So I imagine you're probably going to have to do some clever post-processing or something.
I'll make it orange and teal.
Or we need more orange and teal. That's where it's at. Anyway, yes, I'm going to not start this week because I've been on holiday pretty much all for most of the significant gaming portion of my fortnight. So I was visiting Sweden, visiting some of the friends of the show, Akeley, Svaye and Blacklight, who are all admirable hosts, and it was really good.
And no accidental going to Norway.
No, I managed to not get the wrong train in the end, so that was good. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Almost no computer games were played.
Wow. Almost no.
Yeah, I think I was watching Blacklight play a bit of Transport Fever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which looks to be a really creditable Transport Tycoon type modern reimagining, reworking of. You've got all your little villages and factories and stuff, and you have to build turn-of-the-century railroads, and time moves on, and you get new technologies and stuff. It looked so good, I bought it myself, but I've yet to start playing it. So, but I don't know if you've got it or not.
I don't think I do.
I saw a look on the little Steam your friends also have, and I couldn't remember if I saw your weird face with the gas mask or not.
Yeah. Yeah,
it looks really good, but I haven't played it, and I've got no video to show you, and I can't tell you what it's like. But I think on Blacklight's recommendation, highly recommended.
This is more accurate than our usual review.
We're just not even bothering anymore. We're not even bothering to play stuff anymore. I've heard that such and such is good. You should play that.
I watched Welsh Troll play some Basingstoke.
Basingstoke?
Yeah.
I saw this. I saw and heard of this.
I take great offence at it.
I don't know what the game is or it was like
It's a zombie survival thing. For
Whatever.
a start, it's got a subway.
Yeah.
Basingstoke's built on chalk, people. You cannot have a subway.
Yes, it's... Yeah, the source of the Basingstoke Canal. No. There's this thing, I was reading through the Steam reviews page, and it just cracked me up because people talking quite straight-facedly about Basingstoke's survival horror aspects and game design and stuff. And every time I read the name, it's just like, I start giggling because I do live in Basingstoke. Yeah. So
I visit Basingstoke on occasion.
I probably have to go and play this game at some point, yeah. Anyway,
I've got an idea for a Basingstoke related game, but I've had that idea for years and haven't made it yet.
Been working on it a while.
I don't know the URL.
Why don't you start with what you're playing?
Well, a real game, not just talking about what I've seen on Twitch this morning.
Because frankly, if we just go to the level of meta where this podcast is basically us talking about things other people have said that they've seen, sort of like eighth hand game
we
reviews.
We could have a podcast roundup.
Yeah, we could do.
I'm not listening to any podcasts.
No, we just. Oh dear.
Okay, do you want me
this is not our finest hour.
Do you want me to talk about some of the games I have actually played?
Then, yes.
I'm going to start with Battletech.
Battletech, that's come out recently. I heard lots of people talking about this. Here we go, see, 8th hand reviews. I heard it's very good. Battletech
is a game I backed many, many, many years ago on Kickstarter, thinking, this is the sort of game I approve of, but it's just going to be something a bit rubbish. Didn't look too much into it. And then somewhere along the lines got the idea that it was just a matchmaking shooty type game. And so wasn't that interested. Then it released and I actually had a look at it. This is despite me having a copy of it downloaded onto Steam for the last year and not having got around to playing it. And I realised actually it's the sort of game I would really like.
So you're a perfect storm of the worst aspects of early adoption coupled with a really slack and disinterested attitude towards game reviewing. So, see, the amount you pump into early access stuff, you're always on the cutting edge. You're always in the early alphas. You're always there on the cutting edge and you can't be bothered to play any of it.
No.
Or tell any of us, which would be useful. So,
anyway, this is a slightly XCOM-y turn-based strategy game featuring mechs, as you would expect robots. Battletech.
Yes.
Everyone being a mech warrior. And please don't make me have to think about the differential between Battletech and mech warrior and the confusing licensing involved in those two properties, which share several things.
I was about to ask you lots of stuff about mech warrior, because that's the stuff I remember from back in the day, sort of 2000s era sort of simulation.
It's all very confusing.
Robots, very old, and then I don't know, there was a mech warrior online thing which was exactly that kind of lobby-based PvP hell you were talking about. I think we all tried it as a static group. We lasted 1 week and we didn't come back. It was just really
that good.
Yeah, we downloaded it and it was like no, just chaos, confusion, not much fun. And then we went away. The graphics weren't that great. I think some of the iconic mechs might have featured, but I don't know.
I will say the graphics on this aren't that great.
No,
but they don't need to be, because it's a top-down. Imagine it being hex-based, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's quietly hex-based.
I have actually played Battletech once, the actual board game, as it were. Hexagon tiles and little tokens and stuff. And I mean, the basic thing is essentially its roots are a turn-based strategy. Sort of strategic tabletop war game.
No, it does some really nice things. It's basically a turn-based RTS, but when you're not in combat, you can queue up all of your orders for movement and sprint between points and do it all together. So you move one person, move the other one, then move the other one immediately, and they're all moving at the same time. So it really speeds up those boring parts in the game where you're on the wrong side of the map and you need to be on the other side of the map. And if you're having to click next turn,
so it sort of goes real time when you're not actually fighting, when you're not literally engaged.
And when you're when you're engaged or about to be engaged with the enemy, it goes down to turn-based. So you actually have more control over it again.
Yeah, that sounds like
and that works really well.
Yeah.
You have the usual type of thing. You have mechs with lots of weapons on, and you shoot them at other mechs.
We're talking proper giant mechs with this, aren't we?
Yeah, proper giant mechs.
100 feet tall.
No, not 100 tall.
Okay.
No. They're not
house-sized.
Yeah, house-sized.
Okay, that's good enough.
Some are bigger, some are small. But yeah.
I have this weird obsession about how big is a big mech, I mean,
not Titans, no.
No, yeah. Okay.
And you then go around and you shoot bits off people, kill them, and then take their salvage at the end.
I see. It's the salvage thing, yeah. So does that mean that you end up in some really sort of tiresome business of constantly trying to headshot the mech so that you can salvage it all intact?
There's no salvaging intact. You end up, if you destroy a mech, you'll get bits of the chassis, and you need 3 of them to make up a new chassis.
Okay.
The game itself is you are a mercenary company. It starts off you are in the employ of one of the rulers, and it goes
great
badly.
houses in some sort of Imperium feudal type sci-fi
it's
future.
set in the point where it's all declining. The mechs, no one's making the mechs as well as they used to, and the nice ones aren't being made anymore. So it's technology on the decline,
it's becoming cult-like.
And so because you have these mechs, you're quite powerful. You end up leading a mercenary company, doing jobs, trying to pay your bills, your immense bills.
Oh wow!
You've got to pay for your.
How punitive is that? Is it really you've got to finish every mission utterly perfectly, or you're game over on the campaign level? Oh dear!
It's
this is the face of a broken man.
Like I did yesterday, to win a mission so badly that you have no viable pilots left.
Oh no!
Your main character can't die, but he had a 100-day recovery time.
Oh wow! So if you'd have surrendered on the opening move, you'd have been considerably better off.
If I just ejected and left them the mechs.
Oh dear!
Yeah.
So that sounds quite challenging.
It's harsh like XCOM. The random number generator in it hates me. You've got some things. You've got mech damage, so quite often stuff like you'll end up with an arm shot off, or someone will punch your leg off, or shoot you in the head or whatever, and you can end up a mission with destroyed all your gear and you need to replace arms and put all your guns back in, and you need to have salvaged enough weaponry to be able to fix that. So sometimes you're actually thinking, okay, this mission I'm going to change the payment terms so I get less money but more salvage.
Okay, that sounds adaptable.
At the same time, some missions that come up do not seem to be profitable to do because the amount of time they'll take to get there and do is not enough to pay for your bills.
Right, is that by design?
I don't know.
Or is there something's gone wrong there a bit, perhaps?
Also, some of the missions are dead easy.
Because it sounds like you definitely need to be just charging more if you're mercenaries.
Yeah, really do.
Yeah.
You're not charging enough.
You don't get the choice of setting your own.
One mission, I just had to go down and destroy 5 tanks, which didn't even trouble me.
Yes.
Which was fine.
Just keep doing those.
But another one I did, I had to take out 4 mechs, 5 gun turrets, and then halfway through a landing spaceship crashed on top of all of my mechs and killed them all.
Oh, God.
Which did not put me in a happy mood, I can tell you that.
I can see. I mean, yeah, it's odd really, isn't it? The idea of the economics of warfare as an entertainment proposition. I mean, the wars essentially are lost leaders.
They are, yeah.
In history, in real life. You tend not to do them for profit. Well, I don't know, unless you're doing a regime change for natural resources or something.
Well, I think nowadays you do if the governments have deep pockets, but the governments end up paying. But before you might have done it if you were, say, the East India Company, for reasons of douchebaggery.
Yeah. So your complaint is that you're not getting the opportunity to really economically exploit the victories afterwards.
Well, the way that I see it, everyone
you've done your work. Bye. Oh.
Everyone in this is a git who deserves to die because no one's nice.
Sounds quite a grim universe. Yeah.
Injuries are terrible. I got 3-4 headshots in a row that put a wound on one of my guys' heads.
Oh dear.
And when you get too many, they die.
Yes.
And so they were
this
just
is what
dead.
we find. Oh, okay.
Yeah, if the random numbers hadn't gone that way, it would have been fine. They would just bounced off.
So this is not necessarily intended difficulty and difficulty levels and settings. This is more, it's just far too at the mercy of dice rolls.
I think it could do with a slight pass on the balance stick.
Okay.
Which it will get.
Yeah. I mean, it's new out. Lots of people reviewing it. Lots of people coming across these similar kinds of criticisms. I imagine. So.
They've already said they're going to make it so that there's less of a spread between missions. So some of them aren't trivial and some of them aren't impossible.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I suppose that's part of the game. I suppose part of the idea of managing. It's almost like the football manager aspect of it. It's the knowing which sorts of missions you should just and which ones to take and go for. But then I suppose just dropping 200 massive mechs to take out one tank on a planet or something is probably not that much fun. So odd balance, I suppose.
Between missions, you can have to spend time doing repairs, restoring new mechs you found, and waiting for people to recover from their injuries, which can be quite a long time. So, I mean, if I could do a mission in and out with no damage, I would be able to just do that and do the next one immediately if there was another mission on that system.
Yeah.
But odds are there's not another mission on that system, and I've got 2 weeks of repairs to do, and that's half the time till my next payday.
Yeah. So you end up in a situation where there are large portions of time where you can't play. I mean, obviously, I guess you go fast forward time.
You're fast forwarding for the time.
Yeah.
Vast amounts of the in-game time you're not making money.
Yeah.
In fact, if you were, say, investing on the stock market with the amount of money you had to start with...
there must be other reasons why you want to pilot massive stompy battle robots around than profit.
And in fact, whenever I salvage stuff and it says how much I've salvaged and what the worth of that is, I'm always thinking, why am I bothering with these missions? Look at all that salvage I've got. I could just sell the salvage and I'll be fine for cash forever.
Yeah, let somebody else do the fighting and then just pick over the battlefield afterwards. That seems the more viable economic proposition.
I'm also having trouble with small scout mechs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can run up ahead.
Yeah.
And they can see the enemy first.
Okay.
Then they die.
I
haven't quite figured out how to use them.
Keep them a bit closer to the big stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, but the moment they get line of sight first... then they'll get shot at and take hideous damage.
Yeah.
But if I don't put them into line of sight, they don't see anything, so why have I got a scout mech?
I
haven't found the tactical use for these yet.
I don't know, some sort of stealth maybe? Is there some better way of hiding them? Or
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
So, I mean, scout mechs all very well, but one bloke with a walkie-talkie and some binoculars.
Some
hiding down
maybe?
Tiny... Yeah, little UAVs.
Or maybe if, say, I had a spaceship in orbit.
It sounds like there's quite a lot of threads you shouldn't really be pulling at in this whole endeavour. I mean, it's I expect the rule of cool's somewhat in play, though. It's a game about giant robots fighting. I mean, it sounds there's a certain coolness to it. It trumps any kind of sense.
It's mainly a game about blowing off legs off mechs so you can take the rest of the mech intact.
Yeah. So going through the reactor's a big no-no, I imagine. You don't want the whole thing to vaporise. That was my memories of some of the early Mech Warrior games.
Mech Assault.
I think Mech Warrior Mercenaries, I think it was called, and it was really, really old sort of thing. 2000s era, pre-90s maybe. And it was more of a simulation, piloting it around, stomping around a quite flat, not very well textured or populated landscape. And it was always, in the end, I found myself, I getting to the point where you just build your robot so that it's got tons and tons of beam lasers, and you're just trying to snipe the head all the time. Because if you hit any other part, boom, dead, and then you run out of money because you've blown it to bits and you're relying on the salvage to survive. It sounds like that kind of thing is intrinsic to the genre itself rather than any kind of implementation. Then it's just the way it is, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably a nice balance you could have in there, but I don't think anyone's seen it yet.
Tweak some of the numbers, make stuff pay more, like cost less when you get hit, that kind of thing.
Well, of course, you can just always go for the high risk missions. And if you don't succeed, save scum, But it's an XCOM style game, so you can lose all your good people very quickly.
I suppose maybe losing is part of the thing. Yeah, but XCOM's notoriously harsh for that sort of thing.
And of course, you've got stats you're upgrading from XP on your people, so your people are getting better. And then when you lose a good person, you are massively down on having a good person.
So you almost don't really want to be investing if you're using them as disposable.
Actually,
grunts.
Interesting way of doing it.
Just keep buying really, really cheap robots and sending them forward. Go for the Zerg rush. Yeah.
I'm not sure you can actually buy robots.
Oh, I don't know. Then.
You have to. Yeah, that's the other thing. I reckon I could very easily lose my way into a unwinnable corner in not long at all.
Oh, the old homeworld problem.
Yeah.
Has it got persistent campaign? You carry your resources from mission to mission.
Yeah. So if you're not repairing your mechs. If you can't repair your mechs, if you lose the chassis, you can very easily run out of mechs, run out of people, and be completely screwed.
I suppose it's perhaps this modern age, the idea of a game over at all is a bit of a problem.
The problem I have with that is new game doesn't put you just before the bit where you're doing this.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of missions beforehand, so you have to do an hour or two of getting to this point before you can actually restart. So my desire to restart at the moment is less than it would be because I don't want to go through that initial one, which... Another hot tip, don't just quit out of the app. Make sure you do escape, then exit and save, because it doesn't save if you just hold F4 it.
Oh, right. Not much auto-saving going on then.
Yeah, there's some, but I had to do the first mission 3 times before it would actually save it properly.
Oh, dear.
I'm not selling this very well, am I?
Well,
it's a good game.
Apart from that...
It's a good game. It's fun. It's interesting. It's just a little bit buggy and a little bit harsh.
Something undeniably cool about the backstory and the just general premise of it all, It just sounds like some of the implementation's a bit
and the problem that... I want to be polite about the mech design, but the mech design in it has always sucked.
It's just taking a step back. You have to wonder why bipedal robots is any kind of battle proposition at all. Massive tracked vehicles or hover tanks or giant helicopter gunship things. Just why you make them walk? We have wheels.
On the other hand, you can stomp on tanks.
Standing on tanks does sound cool. Yeah.
Also, you can punch people's arms off.
There's some melee to it all as well. Oh, right. Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Why a giant bipedal robot? Why not? It's cool. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So it's quite good. It's fun. It'll be patched to make it better, no doubt. And I might wait until the patch before I play my next game.
Yeah, sounds a bit like 3 months rule, not necessarily for quality issues, but more just because a much wider pool of people playing starts to really rigorously test the design choices rather than... I mean, is it buggy? Does it crash the desktop? Obvious errors?
I've had a couple of bugs.
Typos in the UI?
I've not seen the amount of bugs some people are saying there are.
Okay. There's been some early, immediate day one fixing going on.
Possibly. Or, you know how people are, sometimes they'll just get really unlucky.
Yeah, but that kind of thing's easy to spot early on. It crashes the desktop every time I open the save menu. But... I can't win a campaign because you just cannot earn enough money is more of a long-term thing to evaluate, and also somewhat subjective as well. Some people may really relish the harsh difficulty it imposes.
Yeah,
that kind of thing takes much longer to
when they
evaluate.
Balance a bit and make it so that you can see that these missions just aren't worth touching because they don't pay enough money.
And if no one picks them, what are they there for? Are they literally there as deliberately incorrect choices you're supposed to be clever enough to spot, or has just something gone wrong with the design of it all? Because
I would have quite liked to use the lower ones to ramp up the XP on my people.
That's what I do in Starcrawlers. Starcrawlers has a similar kind of mechanic. You go to the bar to pick up your jobs, and you go off and you do your isometric dungeons and stuff. And it presents a range of them every day you're there, and they come in much grey difficulty all the way up to red difficulty. And you can choose the level of challenge you want, and you get paid less, obviously, but you still manage to earn XP and get loot and so on the easier missions, which lets you build up a bit so that you can then tackle harder missions, and you get that sort of backwards and forwards option. But even if you're picking the really easy, low-paying missions, that's still better than they give you the option of don't pick any mission, essentially is take the day off, and you still have to pay all your team, so you just lose a load of money, and then it regenerates a fresh list because it's a new day. Is that option there?
Not really. It just seems like the low end ones don't pay enough to do at all, so why bother? And you can't really get back up to speed that easily. Some way to go away and grind so you're a bit more powerful and then come back. The amount of money you end up paying seems to just be forcing you to work at a certain pace, and you can't go off that pace.
Yeah. So you're not getting powerful enough to face the challenge that's increasing. I see.
And then you get a mission where you're just incredibly unlucky, and
that doesn't help as well if you've got that whole sort of economic side of it going on, and then also it just dumps a dice roll on you that you don't like, and suddenly whoosh. Yeah.
It's quite good.
It sounds interesting though. Sounds like something I might want to have a look at.
Wait till it comes out a bit cheaper and have a look.
Well, have a look. Wait for some of these design balance passes, perhaps. Okay, I'm going to talk about... I have played some games over this last fortnight. Secret World Legends, we're still going.
Okay, yes.
Still ticking along there. We did... so we've made it to Egypt, which is always a big thing. It was much easier this time. This is, of course, because it's now Secret World Legends, which, comes with a massive amount of streamlining and balancing. And I can't really remember the story through Solomon Island, word for word, but it seems to me like they've just sort of bypassed quite a lot of different cul-de-sacs in the story missions and stuff. There's a couple of now you must get to level X before you can carry on type parts in the main storyline now, which I don't recall being there because obviously levels didn't even exist in that sense previously. So, but we found that wasn't really that much of a chore go away, do a few other missions and come back, and that was all right. Most of those other missions are very similar to what was already there. I'm just finding... I don't know. I feel bad in a way because Secret World Legends, they basically completely redone how all the skills work. It's all on your more familiar three lines of talent trees for each clearly defined and choosable class now, which are all based on the existing weapons that it was there. It is dumbing down, but I just think it really needed it. I don't mind admitting, yes, it's dumber now, but previously it was tortuous. It was really easy to completely screw your character up and get nowhere and grind to a halt with any kind of progression. Now everyone knows what their stuff does. It dishes out the abilities in a kind of logical and consistent manner, and it's very easy to work out what your role is. The standard. Am I a healer? Am I a tank? Do I do damage? Am I ranged? Am I melee? All that stuff is really readily apparent now. And they've got some degree of crowd control in there in some of the classes as well, debuffing and that kind of thing is all there. And you can choose, you can make informed choices, and you can get on and do it. Which means you're spending far less time fighting the skill system and the UI and the interface and trying to work out what the hell's going on, and far more time now being able to absorb and take in the details of the world, of the stories they're trying to tell, which was always its strong point, I thought. I mean, that is a really interesting game in terms of contemporary horror and conspiracy theory type gameplay, world going on there, all these secret organisations and all that, and eldritch horrors trying to attack the modern world through corporate finance and science and R&D and all that sort of thing. It's quite an interesting take that you don't really see in many other MMOs. But yeah, Solomon Island, it's so basically Solomon Island, anyone doesn't know, is essentially it's somewhere off of Maine or Rhode Island, somewhere on the north-east American, US coast, one of these sort of seaside towns, and there's big fog, lots of gribblies come out of the sea. We punched out Cthulhu at one point in one of the dungeons.
As you do.
Yeah, lots of all sorts of overlapping different types of nautical-based horror. There's like undead zombie Vikings about the place, but the whole palette is grey, the sky is grey, there's a lot of fog everywhere. I mean, they do some fantastic, God rays through the trees in the fog and everything, but it's such a grim and damp and miserable place. Even before all the zombies turned up and the weird sea fish people and all the rest of it. So it's always nice to get to Egypt.
Yeah.
But of course, on previous goes, it was so hard to get to Egypt that it was like, And then Egypt's essentially more of the same, but with a lot more of a washed-out sky sun palette. So now we're finding that the Egypt storyline is also similarly rocketing along. We're pretty much done with the first central town there, which is a really well done sort of it's sort of Cairo suburbs type of look and feel to the place. And we're sort of moving along with the story there with a sinister organisation trying to get this cult to try and raise some undead sort of god of the sun type thing to wipe everyone out. And we're following up on the details there, moving along there, and it's moving along nicely. I had seen the 4th dungeon.
Ooh.
Yeah, my first time ever. The Ankh, it's called. It's some big archaeological dig from being supervised by the super sinister Orochi Corporation.
Uh-huh.
They're the ones that are mucking about with the filth. And,
never trust when the corporations are doing archaeology.
It is absolutely a textbook case of why xenoarchaeologists are a bad thing and will kill us all. But yes, so they end up digging up this big pool of dark black liquid on the bottom, and there's some mad German scientist in there who's gone a bit Raiders of the Lost Ark on it all, and it's really quite a good dungeon. There's some fantastic set pieces as well, quite a few different boss fights in there. They're not too obtuse, you can generally work out what you need to do, where you need to stand and so on, pretty quickly. We didn't wipe, I don't think. I think one or two of us fell off things because they're quite clumsy, But yeah, I particularly enjoyed. There's a boss fight where he summons this enormous giant, literally an undead giant. It's about 25 feet tall, that sort of thing. It's got this massive club, and it's coming along this big sort of aqueduct type thing in this massive sort of shaft cave thing. And it's essentially a moving fight because it's just constantly moving forward, and it's got this AoE knockback that's constantly running, so you can't even run in and punch it, which was a problem for me as tank. Being I'd gone with chaos focus as the primary weapon, and that's got a good tank spec, which basically involves lots of AoE spin kicking, and that all generates lots of hate, and it's good for the tanking and stuff. But of course, you have to be in point blank range to do it, and it just keeps knocking me back all the time. So I was pretty much unable to tank for that. And then I realised, it's pushing us back towards that gate, and that gate is attackable. Right, turn around, leg it, and so they're all firing away with guns and using crazy powers and shrieking a lot, and I'm just refusing to look behind me while I'm basically punching this gate to death, just so that it can fall over and we can carry on and not be killed instantly as it crushes us against it. And you sort of repeat this a couple of times. Yeah, gates down, back off. They're all like backing towards me. But it was really quite a fun fight, that one. Yeah. Really quite an atmospheric design to the place as well. There's been massive sort of shaft with various sort of walkways and level gantries as you work your way down. And then we managed to do a thing with the thing at the end and punch someone really hard, and winners! Hooray. Yay! So that was good. I have no idea what the next... So I think Egypt has 2 zones. We're in the scorched desert, and I think there's another bit which is a proper sort of Egyptian tomb style area. Never been in there before. This is about as far as I've ever got in Secret World before, Okay, and we've tried this a couple of times. I think maybe 3 or 4 goes through in various small groups, static groups, soloing, whatever. So I will be starting to see genuinely new content now, and that's all been made possible by this Secret World Legends revamp. I mean, you can probably pass it off and be dismissive as a kind of, it's just a cynical attempt to remarket it back to people and stuff. But I genuinely think it has benefited from a fresh philosophy, I suppose. The game is still the game, is the Secret World, but it's a lot more like normal MMOs now, and you can be all snooty and dismissive about that, but there's a reason normal MMOs are popular.
True.
It's an evolutionary form that has come up from obtuse and obscure stuff like Ultima Online, compare that to modern MMO design.
Yes.
Or Asheron's Call was quite quirky in its way, and Text Muds, EverQuest 1 does a lot of things, but it did a lot of things wrong as well. And as each new generation of MMOs come along, they copy a lot of stuff from the previous ones, but they only copy the stuff that's worked, so the stuff that people report having liked. Some people do fill in those "why are you leaving our MMO" surveys, and I imagine some useful information is gleaned. So there's no failure or shame in admitting something isn't working and taking it back in and retooling it and putting it back out in a better way, I think. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they do with Defiance. Defiance 2050 is a thing. You don't hear a lot about Defiance these days, but it sounds like a similar kind of retooling. Apparently it's going to be new maps and new setting a bit further in the future from where the existing game is, but fundamentally it's going to be the same kind of game, but they'll drop some of the bits people don't like and add new things that people might like.
What TV show? There wasn't a TV show.
They're shot of that now. Yeah, that's probably good for them in a way, because they're not now tied to having to tie it all to a frankly B grade sci-fi TV.
Oh, you're being generous there.
I enjoyed it. I bought the first 2 series on DVD, but
was there a third?
There was a third, and it died, I think. I probably need to get the third one, but I think that
it always seemed like a dumb idea, because you've got 2 different development schedules, and those 2 were never going to mesh.
Well, some of the characters from the TV show showed up in the game here and there, an occasional sort of story type mission, and there was really, really, really tenuous asides in the TV show. Literally one line of dialogue references something that had happened in the TV show, but in the game that was set around the Bay Area of San Francisco, whereas the TV show is set in the ruins of St. Louis, which are 2 quite far apart places that almost never interacted at all. So it's just a hard thing that was never going to work.
It was an idea, we'll say that.
And it's a shame, because the gameplay of Defiance I always quite liked. It was a good sort of third-person shooter. It had a good feel to it all. I get a lot of that from Warframe now instead of Defiance, and Warframe is much better at what it does than Defiance, but doesn't have the big open world feel to it. So anyway, it's a Secret World. We are still going there, and I'm really looking forward to now ploughing on. We got there much quicker because streamlined, and everyone knows what they're doing, and we got better character development going on. And now I'm going to be able to see the other bit of... So there's the other half of Egypt I've never seen, the other zone in the Egypt area. Then there's a whole load of Transylvania stuff I've never seen. Yeah, vampires, presumably.
I would imagine so.
I would be disappointed if there weren't any.
No, you're just up against this large bureaucracy for no apparent reason.
Modern-day Transylvania, it's just, well, quite, maybe a bit of werewolf action, who knows? It's always vampires and werewolves, isn't it? Yeah. And then after that, there's a Tokyo chapter.
That's driving very fast sideways.
Well, that's to do with the Orochi Corporation. That's where they come from, and presumably that ties up and explains some of the overall meta story going on to do with the bees and the bloke in the black clothing and the woman in the white clothing who appear to you in dreams. There's a lot of very high level meta story going on there that you get some tantalising hints of just as you move from Solomon Island to Egypt, and a bit at the very start when you're doing character creation, and then nothing, and you think, well, God, what's that all about? That's clearly the important thing. That's explaining why all the players have superpowers. There is a reason for all that. It's to do with bees. And it's it's delightfully obscure and unexplained, and I love that. But it would be nice to get some kind of sense of closure or some idea of what the hell's going on. Fine, we had all this. I mean, the story of Solomon Island is a relatively small and self-contained thing, and you do find out at the end. Spoilers: it was Loki. Loki did it.
Really?
So anyway, it's all to do with Excalibur. You see. The fishermen of Solomon Island. All right, spoilers for the first act of Secret World. There's a load of fishermen on Solomon Island because they got a history of Illuminati interference going back to like 1800s and things anyway, and native Indian centre of power with wards and Vikings and stuff. Anyways, a load of people go out to see. Now I come to explain this to someone else. I'm going to probably... Anyway, it's Excalibur. They find Excalibur in the sea. They bring Excalibur, and Excalibur happens to be this weird sort of techno blade with like lights down the middle as well. That's very cool. And then a strange chap called Beaumont turns up and drops...
Does he have a beard?
Yes, beard and moustache, and he drops a load of really unsubtle hints that he's Loki, and he's been looking for Excalibur all along and finds it, and then someone kicks his ass. Well, you kick his ass, and then someone else comes along called Cassie and steals it and drops loads of hints that she's far more powerful than anyone could imagine as well. Really good at setting up and leaving lots of unexplained hooks. I mean, it's a game you play and then you come out with a lot more questions at the end of it.
At some point, hooks do need to be attached
No,
to
it's
something.
just it's like everything, and then maybe this is this, and then whoa, and you come out the end of it going, well, I now know less about what's going on than I knew at the start before I even played it. So yeah, I quite enjoy instalments of the main story mission in that game because you come out at the end going, what now? So yeah, and I still don't quite understand what the filth is all about, which is the black tentacles that are everywhere. I expect we'll find out. Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, and I've confused myself now. So why don't you talk about the thing?
I'm going to talk about the first season of Telltale's Batman.
Oh, Telltale! I still haven't played a Telltale game. I've got Tales of the Borderlands on my desktop, installed, ready to go. It's finding the time. I've got about 35 games installed on my desktop, desktop shortcut games, and I haven't got time.
Well, I've decided to play this game, and I've also decided to stop me playing through it all the way through. Mm. The moment I get a Steam achievement, I stop.
Okay.
Because it's a Telltale game, so they're just placed throughout the plot. So each episode is an episode, then they've got chapters inside them, and I stop when I hit one of them. So I split all of the episodes up into 4 days of play.
That's quite a good approach. Yeah, 'cause that wouldn't work for many games, because a lot of games you get an achievement for creating a character.
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's me done for today then.
The first day was quite short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've been playing through this, and the fact that I am forcing myself to draw it out really is helping. Because I could have binged it in a day.
How long does an episode take, do you think? Because I could probably make time for like a half-hour go at one thing a week.
An episode takes about half hour, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll just try and force myself, wedge some time to have a go at this, because I need to. It's not that I'm particularly a huge Borderlands fan necessarily, but I need to see what the Telltale format is, because they do do the same thing quite a lot with different IPs.
Oh God, do they do the same thing? Okay.
And so I need to see at least one before I can decide that I know what they're all like.
Well, this one is Batman.
Yep.
It's early days Batman.
Yep.
Where
there's a lot of different Batmans, isn't there?
This Batman. This Batman's is early days one. It's completely unrelated, and they do play with your expectations on some of the characters.
Okay.
So Harvey's running for to be DA. It's Lieutenant Gordon at this point.
Yeah.
Cobblepot turns up, but he's an old friend of Wayne's from when they were growing up.
What's that TV show? Gotham,
yeah.
Yeah, where they're all like young. It's like Smallville, but for Batman or something.
Yeah, well, they said they weren't going to touch Batman, and now they're touching Batman. The kid is being a bit more Batman. I didn't bother watching it. And so... Oh, and Selena Carl's there as well. Also, so is Catwoman.
Right.
And so basically the plot is, in very vague terms, there's the children of Arkham who are people who are against Arkham Asylum because they see it as a bad thing.
I'm not sure I have a firm stance either way.
Oh, you were playing this game.
Okay.
And that they want it destroyed. At the start, Bruce is trying to shut it down and put up a new facility. But then it turns out that various things are happening and people's lives are torn down and people are put in interesting situations. And it takes the Batman story in an interesting way that... You saw Justice League, right?
No, I haven't got around to that yet.
Okay. You saw... What was before Justice League? What was the Batman in before that?
The Dark Knight goes shopping in a furious rage.
He was in Batman vs Superman, wasn't he?
Yes.
You saw that?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't really have a firm opinion on the whole Marvel versus DC, fanboy war or anything, but I do seem to have watched way more Marvel stuff than DC stuff. So
yeah, it's the correct choice.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you imagine how boring Batman is in these films you haven't watched, because they're a bit boring.
Stomp around.
This is a slightly.
I got a bit bored of him during the Christian Bale era.
The Christian Bale films do not stand up.
Yeah.
I know I said it. They do not stand up.
Well, no, the first one he did was all right. It's quite interesting, but
the third one was silly.
You get to the third one and you're thinking, God, what's Adam West doing these days?
He's dead.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
He died recently.
Yeah, it's a shame. But we need a return to the 60s TV show Batman. That is my favourite Batman.
But they did some more cartoons before he died, some feature film, animated feature films with the 60s Batman and Robin.
Repellent.
So it was Adam West and Burt Ward.
Okay. I'll have to track those down. Because that was the definitive Batman for me, I think. Closely followed by Michael Keaton. I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah,
but he's like Spider-Man. It's that if I have to watch one more goddamn Spider-Man origin story, I'm going to start laying about me in a very antisocial and
Don't worry, you
uncharacteristic
don't
way.
have a Spider-Man origin story for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Have you watched Homecoming yet?
No.
Watch Homecoming. It's not
No, because I've just been put off of anything with Spider-Man in now because I just can't stand the origin story.
Am I
Blah,
gonna-
blah, blah, radioactive spider.
Am I also going to take it as read you've not seen Infinity War?
No, I don't
didn't
really
go to the cinema?
go out much. I bought some DVDs recently.
What did you buy?
I haven't watched them yet. What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay, interesting choice.
Yeah, I want... and what was the other one? Akira.
The remake.
No.
Okay, good.
The original.
Well, the original
Yeah,
is still
I just
good.
don't own it. I haven't seen it in ages. And a film called Millennium, which I remember seeing and was intrigued by the premise by, but I haven't seen on TV about in the 90s. I'm distracting you greatly from what you're talking about.
I'm thinking of the TV show.
No, not the TV show with Lance Hendrickson. No, this was basically the premise is that future people from the future are all infertile and have time travel technology. So what they do is they go back to the moment just before plane crashes go, and they steal the people and replace them with mannequins.
Isn't that a Mark Hamill film?
No, it's Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd.
Okay.
Anyway, they steal the corpse. They steal people who are about to die from plane crashes and leave inert corpses behind, and then use these people in the future to help keep the human race going.
And do these people get a choice?
Well, they're going to die anyway if they.
But do they get a choice?
No, I don't think they're just stolen away from being dead. But then some
So I'm pretty sure I stopped you being killed, therefore you belong to me
belong
now.
to us.
Does not wash it.
Yes, I don't know. It's a bit hazy. I haven't seen it in a long time, which is why I thought, I could just. Oh yeah, Amazon have everything ever at a fingertips. So I could just get that and watch it.
I watched Alien Covenant.
Oh, I watched that. What did you think?
Okay.
So Batman Telltale.
The nodding parrot thing, the guy in the bridge with the hat on because there was one in the first film, all the sound effects being, it was just terrible.
Yeah, it's trying so hard.
Yeah.
And Fassbender was doing his best to make it work, but just the rest of it.
He makes bad choices in films. Anyway, Batman.
Batman, yes.
Yes. Where was I? I was saying about how, what they do, there's quite a lot of deconstructing what's going on in Gotham and a couple of characters changing them enough to make them interesting. Some really boring characters making them interesting.
This is exactly my problem with the Spider-Man origin story, and indeed a Batman origin story again, or whatever.
Do you think you go to Crime Alley?
I do.
Of course you go to Crime Alley.
Oh, well, whatever. But yeah, it's because a lot of these modern superheroes have become almost Shakespearean in the sort of reverence and mythology that they are our modern Beowulf. It's a very particular story that everyone knows, and you get bonus points for telling it correctly. So every 5 years we get the Spider-Man origin story, and it is the same every time. And then what you're saying in this approach is that, what if the Joker isn't actually like Joker like you think? Maybe something different's going on. And that was, I think, part of.
Don't get your hopes up for the Joker.
Well, I know Joker, all right, but just the idea of what if we change it? What if it's not the way you think? What if Sauron gets the ring back and then destroys Middle Earth? Wouldn't that be great? I'm hoping that's the direction they go for the new TV show.
What if person X was actually a bad person? What if person Y is actually a good person?
Well, just something to challenge the expectations a bit, because by God, we have expectations now, because every goddamn 5 years there's another Spider-Man origin story, and I gonna go mad.
They stopped doing Spider-Man origin stories.
Well, I stopped going to the cinema and seeing films just after the last one. So
you saw Civil War, right?
No. I'm not helping, really.
What was the last one? You saw Thor, right?
Doctor Strange? No.
Guardians.
Yeah,
Thor
Ragnarok. Yes, that was a jolly adventure. I enjoyed that. Are they all like that now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Infinity War is really, really cheerful and just laughs all the way through.
Okay, good.
Yeah, laugh a minute.
Anyway.
You're going to have to catch up for an awful lot of films before you get to Infinity War.
I know. I mean, I don't think I've seen anything with Captain America in it apart from Avengers.
Captain America.
No, I missed that one. I don't really know him or his origin story, but then I've sort of gone off origin stories in general, to be honest, thanks to Spider-Man. It's all Spider-Man's fault.
At least watch Captain America.
Man. No, I don't want to know how any superhero gets their superhero powers anymore. I don't care. Just turn up, start smashing things into buildings, get on with it.
Captain America's great. It starts off where the Human Torch is running around as a really weak.
I forgot he's the same guy.
Yeah.
That must be quite confusing.
Do you know what's worse? The Human Torch from the second film is in Black Panther as the bad guy. It's how you get a roll in Marvel now. You play the Human Torch to get a real roll.
Got to stop doing that. It doesn't help. No. So yes, Batman, Telltale thing.
Yes. Okay. It's a.
I should be quiet for a bit.
We're not going to get the Radio 5 show at this rate. No. We're just not organised enough. Yes, okay, it's a Telltale game, so it's basically a game where you do get a small amount of moving around.
Yeah.
But very little. And it's mainly watching a cutscene play out.
Just connecting cutscenes together.
Yeah. And then making a choice on dialogue points.
Okay.
And he will remember this. She will remember this. This will be important. No, it won't. It's really not going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an awful lot of events where you're pushing buttons to do combat, and it's just basically quick time events. And you're thinking, what happens if I don't hit a button in this? And sometimes it doesn't matter, and sometimes it really does.
Well, that's a good test, really, isn't it? If you just keep your hands off the controls and see what happens. Does it play out like a movie?
I was quite convinced that I'd be able to just play it out all the way without touching anything. Because if you don't do any of the dialogue choices, it just goes ... as the default one, and you say nothing.
That's right. I'd heard they were quite on the low side of interactivity compared to something like Monkey Island or whatever.
There is some interactivity. You've got the combat, which is basically do the button presses on screen or move the cursor over this circle, then hit the right trigger. Oh, I'm playing on PC, but with a controller, because I really wouldn't want to play this for the mouse and keyboard.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't feel like it would fit.
Yeah.
Because you just sit there like that all the time, and you're thinking, I'm not doing it in 10 minutes.
I find I sit there with my hands on the WASD keys in games where that does nothing. The Ultima 9 playing at the moment, that's entirely driven by the mouse and the F keys. You know, and they're WASD. No, right. Nothing.
The other things you have to do is, because Batman is, if you're not aware, the world's greatest detective.
Oh, okay.
Something the films have yet to touch upon.
Yes. I thought he's just the world's greatest kung fu guy.
The world's greatest puncher.
He's super good at punching good.
And being punched. And so you'll have to investigate crime scenes, and there's an awful lot of looking at stuff and then drawing lines between things to link them, and then you'll work out what's going on. And then once you've pieced it all together, you'll say what played out there, that kind of thing, which is sort of okay, but I'd love that to be expanded quite a lot, because all you're basically doing is saying, right, obviously he was bludgeoned with that, he shot him. And,
It feels a bit like a sort of underutilised mini game.
The problem is, with the low levels of interactivity there is,
Yeah.
when you do get higher levels of interactivity,
it's me, I'm up.
You're thinking, do I really need to be doing this?
Q. Yeah. So let's wake up from your seat. Right, yes. I'm Batman.
Can't Batman just explain this to me?
Well, quite. Batman seems to have it all in hand.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, some of the deaths are a little bit harsh. If you don't get some prompts right in time, you just die.
Oh, wow.
But you only go back a short amount of time.
That's a bit old school, isn't it?
It is.
Kind of quick time. Yeah.
But I don't know what else they could do, really. If you're going to have quick time events, either they kill you or they don't. Because if they don't kill you, then you don't need to do them.
Yeah, I suppose.
When you get them right, it builds up this bat meter thing, which is the Batman symbol getting filled up. And when it is full, you can do a takedowny thing. But I'm never entirely sure what would happen if I don't fill it up. And would I still have to do the takedown? And if not, then does it mean that whatever I do doesn't matter? And that might as well not be there, because
it's a question of pride. You want to be the best Batman you can be.
Well, I'm not sure if...
Batman points.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens if I don't get them. Would that takedown happen anyway?
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah.
Right, I'm going to bloody make a promise to myself. I'm going to get this Borderlands, Tales of the Borderlands thing underway for next show, because I need to find out and get some context on all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's been sat on my desktop for like a month.
I didn't play the Borderlands one.
No, well, it was free when I bought something else on GOG, so I didn't really buy it myself either, but it's there.
The entire Telltale Games things are the ones I played years ago, and then satiated myself on the format, which is something they're discovering sales-wise.
Yeah, I think they have acknowledged it's a problem. I remember reading an article
weird.
or two.
The performance of this game is terrible.
Yeah.
There's lots of juddering and stuff, and you think, I'm running this on a decent PC, and it's not working very well, and it's not doing very much.
Maybe it's mining bitcoins.
Possibly. Now, apparently, they changed over their engine during the development of it, and it was maybe not the best idea, because they needed to move it onwards to not be last gen tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's relatively fun. I quite like it, and no doubt I'll get season 2 at some point.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to talk about Lord of the Rings Online, my ongoing odyssey there, that has turned into a sort of mini static group on the Saturdays. The Saturdays when I'm not hiking, it's we're scheduling and stuff. But we made some good headway. We are at Emin Lum, which is the sort of big ruined castle town thing in the middle of southern Mirkwood now.
Oh, okay.
Halfway across. Yeah, we've made
big one there.
Made some good progress. So the big story as is ongoing is with the dwarf expedition into Moria went reasonably well. They carved out a big old place for themselves, and then they woke up and irritated a whole ton of orcs, which are still in there. And then there was a lot of to and fro, some skirmishing, some defending various points and so on. And then this side story where one of the dwarves, I forget all their names, the Broin, Bosi,
Flopsy,
Broga, something like that. Anyway, they find this mithril axe, which becomes this big sort of thing, and predictably enough, the greediness of the dwarves becomes their undoing. And at the end, the long and sort of short of it, the end of it all is the Moria bit is that one of the main dwarf's son or cousin or nephew or something ends up being captured by Mazog, who is like the grandchild spawn of Azog the Defiler, the big king orc out of the Hobbit. He's now Azog gets killed by Thorin, I think, during the Hobbit and the Battle of the Five Armies. But so this Mazog fella is, I think it's just an invention of Turbine, but is now in charge of Moria. So yeah.
Orcs, if I remember rightly, don't reproduce normally.
Spawning.
They're created. So how can it be?
I don't know. Spawn of Azog. Well, I didn't really ask too much.
So I saw a documentary about it. They were coming out pits of mud.
Just don't go there. Don't look. Don't think about it. So yeah. So
maybe there'll be a whole book about it.
Anyway, one thing leads to another, and we end up capturing Mazog and using him as a kind of war criminal hostage. But the dwarf nephew, Bosi or Brosi or something, Flopsy, is captured and taken to Dol Guldur, which is the fortress of the Necromancer, which is the big evil castle in the middle of southern Mirkwood. Yeah. So
is he the one?
Everyone comes up with this brilliant idea. This is my sarcastic 2 thumbs up. That we should try and take Mazog to Dol Guldur and do a hostage exchange.
No one cares about orcs.
No one cares about orcs. Yeah,
that's the point. No one cares about orcs.
So we got a couple of dwarves taking this Mazog all the way across southern Mirkwood, which is basically what the main story through the whole region is. There's a series of instances where you're escorting this shackled orc king across various locations, and
it's one long escort quest.
It is one long escort quest that runs from Lothlorien all the way across to Dol Guldur and occupies the entire sort of second expansion of Lord of the Rings Online.
Turbine was really good.
Yeah, Mirkwood wasn't their finest hour, to be honest.
Much of that game was not their finest hour.
I enjoyed Moria, but and then Lothlorien comes as a sort of bit of Moria, effectively. But then you got this whole southern Mirkwood thing, and I like the main. It's the sort of main story game thing going on, which is the Golden Host, which is a massive army of Lothlorien elves. This is what they were all doing during Lord of the Rings. See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the reason they don't turn up and help anywhere in the south is because they've all gone and invaded southern Mirkwood to put down the people, all the minions left behind in Dol Guldur. So that's done very well. You've got this whole Saving Private Ryan type mini instance thing where you make a beachhead and then you have to clear out some forts and then they set up tents and stuff. And they got the Galadrim, the Malhadrim they're called in here, some subdivision or whatever. The elf army is essentially pushing forward all the way across to Dol Guldur, setting up new outposts and stuff, and that's where all your hub-to-hub gameplay is, all your normal open world stuff, and that's all quite good. But then you got this instant story, which is this really stupid. I mean, it's almost lampshaded in story, and that most of the elves who are coming along to help you on this thing, none of them think it's a good idea, and then pretty much for their foresight, they get picked off one at a time in a sort of real teen horror film type style as you work your way across this forest. They're all getting killed off and one by one, and yet, spoiler alert for the content of the Mirkwood expansion is that it doesn't go well. I mean, I've done this.
Really?
I've done this before. Yeah, you get there and it turns out actually they just kill the orc. They don't care. And I'm not sure if you even get the dwarf back or not. And that's, I think, probably the sort of, because the problem with the Mirkwood expansion is that it was all building up to Dol Guldur, and then Dol Guldur was presented as a whole bunch of raids and endgame dungeons and stuff. Which, I suppose the people who like that stuff were into it at the time, but probably nobody does that anymore because the level cap's now 115 and this is all level 65 content. So probably nobody even goes in these dungeons anymore. I don't know if they retrofitted them for scaling maybe, but it was a really quite, I don't know, I always sort of thought of it as quite a raid-focused expansion. It was all about, get to Dol Guldur and then you can spend forever rinsing and repeating these usual endgame content and collecting the special tokens and whatever, buying the raid gear. And then that's all thrown out the window when the Isengard expansion came along, so, which is where we go next after this. But I'm enjoying the hub-to-hub gameplay, although Mirkwood, I don't know, it's a difficult thing. Mirkwood is supposed to be gloomy. It's a gloomy forest full of spiders, basically, and they do deliver on that. There's a lot of gloom. There's various varieties of gloom, many of which are far too finely distinguished for me to be able to tell the difference between. Unlike Moria, which, you think, Moria, it's just a massive load of tunnels. Well, no, the Moria, they do a really good job of differentiating each of the different zones and making them interesting in their own right, and little bits of mini story to go with them. Whereas Southern Mirkwood is all just trees. It's just... every now and then you get some fetch quest which sends you back to Lothlorien to talk to someone or something, and it's just that's a visual palate cleanser, because Lothlorien in this game is ridiculously oversaturated and complete. They've turned bloom up to 11, and it's like and the music and everything. So it's almost like they realise what a grim old forest they've created, and so they come up with reasons to send you back to look at something else for a bit every now and then. We're going strong though. I'm level 67 now, I think, something like that. So and the content cap's at 65. It was quite a small level range expansion with the expectation you'd rinse and repeat the end game stuff. So we're already going to be over level for the Enadrath stuff when we start that next. So once we've crossed and finished all the hubs there and done the ridiculous failure of a hostage exchange, I think we get recalled back to Rivendell, and then we get the whole business with the Grey Company.
Oh, joy.
Which is the Isengard expansion. We go down through Enadrath and down to Dunland, and the story there is that all of Aragorn's ranger friends are now coming from the north down to Gondor and stuff to give him a hand when he goes off to the wars and does Helm's Deep and all that stuff. And yours truly, gets conscripted to go along with them, and it turns out to be really bad, and half of them don't make it, and there's all sorts of problems on the way.
Is it trying to explain why they don't turn up properly?
Yes, it's trying to explain why. There's only, I think Halbarad is one that shows up with the banner. There's a gift to him from Rivendell. Anyway, yeah. So it's that usual standing stone stroke turbine masterclass in making a player feel almost a part of the proceedings. Yeah. I was there too. I was just like over the next hill. It's fine. So at the moment this is all well seen content. I mean, this is only the second character I've done it all on, but it wasn't that memorable the first time around. I'm really wanting to get to Rohan. I want to see the mounted combat, and I've been advised by people who've played this a lot not to get my hopes up too high. Malty's desperately trying to manage my expectations about mounted combat, so yes, but I don't mind. I want to see it all. I want to get to Mordor. I want to throw the ring in the volcano. So I'm still good for it all at the moment, but yeah, Mirkwood at the moment I think is a bit like the Lone Lands and the North Downs for me. It's a tolerated chore that I know I need to get done before I can move on to other stuff. So that's all right. That's fine. Cracking along with it. We're doing well. There's 3 of us and we're doing solo content, so that brings a certain speed to the whole endeavour, which is nice. We're doing the occasional dungeon 3-man thing here and there as well, but mostly it's just the story. I want to crack on and get to the new stuff. So still going though. So yeah. And I'm not feeling all fed up with it yet, although there's quite a lot of good-natured grumbling as we go through the more ridiculous routine of MMO quest hubbing. But yeah, still going though. Yeah, and that's about it really. I've not really had much time to play much of anything else this last fortnight. Busy with my overseas travel and so on.
That's still what more people would consider a week's gameplay. Or 2 weeks gameplay.
I try. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you learn this week?
I learnt that you really shouldn't be in broadcast TV as a business.
Oh gosh, right, okay, that's we'll probably have to talk more about that in the pub afterwards. Okay, and I learned this week that Sweden is the future. They really take this whole cashless society thing quite seriously there. I mean, a lot of people just looked at me strangely when I showed them coloured bits of paper and discs of metal in order to get goods and services. It's all cards there. It's fantastic. Yeah.
It's all cards here.
Well, yeah, but not to the extent. I mean, you don't get funny looks when you try and pay for things with cash here. You do in Sweden.
Give it a year, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, and their trains, they have double-decker trains as well. It's amazing.
And they got an all-way.
And they got monorails, and they got like a big sky bridge, and space elevator was fantastic.
And a rainbow bridge.
The Bifrost, I saw that. Yeah, it was great. I would recommend it. I hope to go again at some point. Yeah. So, do your spiel. Yeah.
If you go to howtobetatime.com, you can see all our previous episodes. Also, you can subscribe on YouTube to catch the video versions. Give it a like if you like. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Oh, I'm going hiking next week.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to have any games to talk about again.
There's a small possibility that I'm needing a new co-host in 2 weeks' time.
I may have died on the trail.
Yeah, I will try and find
Week
someone.
2 of the Southwest Coast Path next week. I shall be documenting it for your
You know what that means?
Viewing tolerance.
An uptick in subscribers because people only come to subscribe for the walking videos.
Oh, wow. Well, look for that soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you next time.
Goodbye.